Hello, this is Nitin Dahad with E-Times reporting from Computex 2026 in Taipei, and I'm here with our very good friend and contributor to E-Times, Jim McGregor from Tirias Research. I wasn't looking at your shirt because I didn't remember the name, it was just because I saw something and I thought, is that a B? Anyway.
It's the purple, it just catches your eye.
It does, doesn't it? As always at this show, I'm going to ask for your thoughts, but everywhere you go, it's like the NVIDIA ecosystem.
Very much so.
And like yesterday, I just tried to go on the show floor for like 20 minutes. All of a sudden, you couldn't move because everybody's like phones up and crowds. It was more like
Jensen's walking around signing everything. Yeah, you couldn't get around the trade show.
Yeah, and people talk about the Beatles in the 60s.
Oh yeah,
he's got more of that,
especially in Taiwan.
In Taiwan, especially.
Oh, yeah.
So, but no, taking that aside. It's the big news from them was obviously the RTX Spark, and
yes, big time.
And obviously Rene Haas and Jensen Huang did a little show together at the ARM keynote as well.
Yes,
but it's just like, what's the reality? Because the way Jensen Huang and all these companies are pitching it is, well, we're going to change the way we do compute forever, and it's going to. Because of agentic PCs, but I guess it's going to take some time for that to happen, and there's still going to be another transition.
I think that, first off, I agree. I think agentic AI is going to change PCs. As a matter of fact, it's going to change a lot of the platforms we use and how we use them. Matter of fact, I think that might eliminate some of the low end of the PCs, and the high end becomes the focus, and that would fit this. However, you have to remember that this is like a lot of the other ARM PCs, so you may not get the best experience with certain games or certain applications. So I think it's going to fit a niche, especially initially. I think it's going to go more towards the AI developer and the content creator than the general purpose. And you have to remember, these are not going to be cheap.
No.
I mean, if you're using, this is They title it the RTX Spark, but it really is the same GB10 that's going into the DGX Spark workstation. So it requires a lot of memory, minimum 64 gigabytes of memory, ideally 128. And we're already seeing some of the smartphone vendors kind of push out, eliminate some of their SKUs or push out some of their launches later this year because of lack of memory, and they're using a lot less.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned about really the schedules for a fall launch of these devices, and especially across multiple devices, and how much they're going to cost. This is going to be the cost of a car.
Well, the impression I was getting was, your home PC is going to change forever because of the way you interact with it. And I think I understand what the point is, which is you've got agents running, so you're just going to ask the agent to do something, and it'll turn on your HVAC system or air conditioning, whatever it is. But I'm not sure people are that advanced yet. The tech CEOs are advanced, but I'm not sure how many of the common man are in.
Well, and I hate to call it a PC. I really do. I think it becomes an AI appliance.
Yeah.
I think you need something that's going to be in the home because I think we're going to expect better performance out of these AI solutions. Now we're used to, it's going to show us it's doing something, so we're okay with 3 or 4 second or 6 second or 8 second delays. We're not going to be okay with that going forward. So it has to be close. It has to be able to run larger LLMs, and it has to be able to have contextual information about the environment because a lot of those AI agents are going to be mobile. They're going to be physical AI solutions.
Yeah.
So and that has to have sub 1 nanosecond or millisecond latency to be able to do that. So I think that's realistic. But I don't think it's a PC.
Yeah.
I think it's really an AI appliance that connects to all your other devices.
Well, it was actually interesting. One of the people in the media analyst Q&A with the NVIDIA CEO did talk about renaming this. Why call it a PC?
Yeah.
And I think that was dismissed. But I think when you think about it, I was with Micron, and they were talking about how AI is becoming useful only when it touches your life.
Yes.
And it's the appliance that touches your life, not the PC. And I think that's kind of marries that up together.
Exactly. And it really is that something that quite honestly, and we've already had kind of that DeepSeek moment this year with OpenClaw.
Yeah.
People being able to create agents and custom agents for particular applications and users.
Yeah.
And that's what makes AI valuable.
Yeah.
It's not a general thing, it's customized to me. And I think that being able to have that device that's going to be able to interact with all your other devices and create that AI environment for you is going to be important. But once again, it's not something I'm going to log on to do gaming on.
Yeah. Just some other thoughts. The NXP keynote, Rafael Sotomayor, basically he used Messi and soccer and football, basically trying to explain how you need to have really fast reflexes for physical AI, and almost natural reflexes, like when the footballer Lionel Messi, when he turns, like split second, when he knows exactly when to kick the ball into the net. And this is appropriate because World Cup is coming up, like in the next week or two. So it was a very good analogy, but the point is, you can't, and what Raphael was saying to me was, you can't put tops into that physical. So everybody's talking about compute.
You can't put it in the device because it's going to have form factor limitations, it's going to have battery limitations and everything else, and you can't send it to the cloud because the latency is too long.
Yeah.
That's where that I think that AI appliance comes in as that hub. And you have to remember, if you're not going to have one device, you're going to have multiple devices.
Yeah.
So it's going to be doing three major things in my view.
Yeah.
It's going to be taking information from the sensors on the physical AI solutions, as well as around your environment, whether it's manufacturing, your home, or whatever. So it's going to be doing sensor fusion.
Yeah.
It's going to be handling the LLM models, the large LLM models that you can't do on the device. And it's going to be that key component for being able to supply sub 1 nano or millisecond type of performance.
Yeah.
So it has to do that. So it has to be part of the network, the edge network.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things I did this week, I chaired, moderated a side event for Global Foundries and MIPS because they just closed the acquisition of ARC. And one of the things coming out of that is, and talking to not just them but others, is like you need to develop stuff for all this physical AI fit for purpose. It has to be. And one of the things I think came out of that when I was talking to the CEO Samir Wasson was actually listening to his presentation. You can actually have like mini IDMs, and I think this week Alan Patterson wrote about the fab, the fab in a lab kind of thing, the $20 million fab. Now you think about it and you think it's kind of like making things fit for purpose and making them for the right application.
Yes.
And customizing those. So you can have mini IDMs now, where they don't need the volume, they don't need that leading edge technology.
Yeah.
So I think I'm hoping there's a sort of understanding that it's not all about that advanced logic.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because, we've been so focused on this concept of AGI.
Yeah.
And we've really very quickly gone to a mixture of experts. So even if you're using ChatGPT, you're using Claude, you're using a number of different AI models. And especially when you get into a physical environment, everything has to be fit for what it's supposed to be doing. And we're even seeing that with consumers, with OpenClaw. Consumers designing agents to do specific
things. Yeah.
Yes.
What are your other thoughts? I mean, I've got lots of thoughts, but I'm going to try and write them as well. But some overall thoughts, because I know you have to head off to the airport.
Well, we didn't see as many true technology announcements other than like the RGX Spark, because a lot of the tech companies either had their own events earlier in the year, or they're having events coming up, like AMD's Advancing AI is coming up. Qualcomm teased some of their stuff, but they're doing their big thing with their Investor Day coming up in June. So we didn't see necessarily a lot of those announcements, but we are seeing a lot of innovation, especially on the platform level. I think we're seeing more interesting solutions, especially on the technology side, for actually being able to create advanced robotic solutions and especially physical AI, because I think we've made it sound too easy. You actually have to create a whole nervous system to be able to handle different types of sensors, even within each finger, to be able to do this. And most people don't understand that. So that's developing. but also
That requires response times.
Yeah. But we're also seeing a lot of creativity. If I look around here, we've seen a number of handheld game solutions introduced this year.
Yeah,
we're seeing
behind us. Yeah.
MSI introduced PCs that have basically a kind of etched or three-dimensional Van Gogh skin on them.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I like the ZenBook Duo 14 with the dual screens and the keyboard, the Bluetooth keyboard. So we're and some of the desk side systems around here are just insane. But we're still seeing a lot of innovation, I think, and creativity, and a lot of interest by consumers, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think that we're still searching, especially when it comes to AI, what the impact of AI not only is for the consumer and the enterprise, but we're searching for what does it do to these platforms.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we didn't talk about energy and power, but I think I watched the keynote from Adam White at Infineon today, and he's talking about from grid to rack to physical AI, and one of the things I think that came out from that presentation is how you can reduce the weight and efficiency just by going solid state in some of these stages, and I think that's maybe one of the areas where you can maybe reduce energy, response times, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, in their October tech event, they actually made a good case for physical AI robotics. They said, listen, just by putting wheels on a humanoid robot rather than feet and having it walk around, you can increase your battery life by 3x.
Yeah.
So think about that when you're designing these things.
And the last thing I was going to say is we got a chance to interview a minister for the National Science and Technology Council this week. And interestingly, I mean, Taiwan is a big story.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why all the CEOs have been coming for the last 2-3 years. So CEOs of all the big chip companies, the PC companies, everybody. The thing I was going to say is he was talking about how, we just don't want to be known for the manufacturing. We want to go beyond that, and that's kind of what their research is going into, things like silicon photonics, ultra wide bandgap materials, silicon carbide and gallium nitride, and quantum computing. And actually, I interviewed one of the startups they've given an award to, which is from Germany, and they got a $30,000 award for developing their silicon photonics products. And it's just like, that is something that they're looking at. What's the future, and how do we make Taiwan a key part of this ecosystem?
And I think a lot of people don't realize that all these major tech companies have resources in Taiwan, and most of them have for decades.
Yeah.
Taiwan is, quite honestly, the epicenter of our industry. And without Taiwan, we're in trouble. So
exactly.
I think everyone, especially in their keynotes and their presentations, have tried to pay respect to Taiwan.
They did.
And really represent how important Taiwan is. And, I think there's some geopolitical messaging kind of
subliminal.
Put in there, subliminal, saying, listen, Taiwan's important not just for us, but for everyone in the world.
Yeah, and I think we were seeing that when we saw presentations. I think it was the ARM presentation, which is exactly the same as the March presentation in San Francisco, but he just added Taiwan in there.
Yes.
And I think Rene Haas, the CEO, did make a point to say, this is what we presented in March.
Yeah.
So I think, but pay respect to Taiwan. I'll say one more thing. Something somebody said to me at a networking event yesterday evening, and it was around whatever you might say about how NVIDIA is dominating, but what Jensen Huang has done has lifted the whole industry. I mean, if you look at that Marvell lift to almost the $1 trillion cap now.
But not just that, but you have to realize that as they've made more money, they've reinvested more money throughout the ecosystem. Matter of fact, I've got a tracker just on the partnerships and investments that they're making. And I think it's up to over the past 3 years, 65 companies, and it keeps increasing every week or every 2 weeks.
Right.
They have become one of the biggest VCs in our industry.
Yeah.
And they really are. Matter of fact, they brought the industry together to do something that has been decades in the making, which co-packaged optics.
Yes.
And the fact that it's always been 2 years off, 2 years off, 2 years off. They're like, no, we need it now. Get the industry together, do it. And they're reinvesting that money. So it's not just they're profitable and they are kind of leading the industry. but they're leading the industry through the technology leadership, and they're leading it through reinvestment.
Corporate venturing, I think it's called.
Yes,
But
much
yeah,
so.
well, Jim, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thanks very much, and we'll see you at the next one.
Okay.